Hey everyone, welcome to Software Testing Mentor and RCV Academy. Today we are here with Lokeshwari Raman, who is having some experience in software testing and has some gap in between, but now she is looking back to get into software testing here in Australia. So let's quickly welcome Lokeshwari and conduct the mock interview for Lokeshwari. Hi Lokeshwari, welcome. How are
Hello.
you?
Yeah, I'm fine, Manish. How are you?
Good. Thanks. So Lokeshwari, you are my neighbor. I mean, you live in Sydney. I live in Melbourne. So welcome, and very delighted that that my work is being watched here in Australia as well. So let's quickly, go ahead and start the interview. So it will be, sort of 1 to 2 year level interview for you because you already have some prior experience. So can you quickly introduce about your professional journey, basically how you have been and how you started and what you're doing currently?
As you said, I'm Lokeshwari. I've done my Master of Computer Science and then I worked as a software trainee tester for 6 months. And after that, I have a couple of years teaching experience in school as well as in college. And then in 2018, we moved to Australia. After coming to Australia, I was working for the Byju's Future School as an app developer. And
Mhm.
I was passionate about software testing. So I have done a course about software testing and I've cleared the exam from the ISTQB certifications.
Right.
So I have a sound knowledge about SDLC as well as this SDLC. That's
Great.
all about. And apart from that, my strengths are like willingness to learn and the
Mhm.
positive attitude.
Great.
That's all about myself.
Great. Thanks, Lokeshwari. I think, yeah, I can see in your resume the trainings and certification you have been doing. And is your ISTQB certification from Australia and New Zealand Testing Board, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Great. Cool. So that's good. I think, yeah, it shows you're actively looking into the market and preparing. So great. So let's quickly go ahead with the first sort of, ISTQB question itself. So what do you understand by software testing life cycle?
So basically, software testing life cycle, it's a sequence of different testing activities that we follow when we are testing the application. So it starts with, there are different phases in SDLC. It starts with the requirement analysis where we analyze the requirement. After that, we go to the test planning. We will plan what are the activities to be included in the test plans.
Mhm.
And then the next stage is the test case designing. We will write the test case and
Mhm.
then preparing the test data. And after writing the test case, we move to the test implementation. We will arrange all the test cases in the test suite.
Mhm.
And the next stage is the test execution. We will execute the test case and check the status of the test cases, whether it is passed or failed. If there is any discrepancy, then we'll write a defect report. And the next stage, we move to the test completion. We will,
Mhm.
once all the activities has been completed, test completion, test closure is the final activity before after releasing the product, where we'll
Right.
have the test summary report and the test progress report.
Great. Yeah. So on this whole life cycle that you have explained, very well, like all the phases you have covered absolutely in detail. Um, Now, practically, like nowadays, agile is being followed, right? So
Mhm.
how does STLC fits into agile? Would you like to answer? Like, is there any difference
In
or it's sort of same?
for agile, in agile is a fast food delivery where you deliver the software within a short span of time, where the
Mhm.
requirements, it's like an iterative and the incremental approach,
Right. Yeah.
where we will have the requirements. Once the
Mhm.
requirement we get, then we design and coding and then we
Mhm.
do the testing. Then
Right.
the testing is not a phase in agile methodology.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
happens like hand in hand approach.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Great. So I think, yeah, that shows that you have some sort of, like you have read through how it actually fits. So yes, it still has certain, like all of those phases that you have explained, that STLC phases, but it goes very hand in hand. It's more of, collaboration, and then you still do all of those, planning and things, but it's absolutely done only when required, right? You do not go into very detailed plans. You do not go into very detailed sort of test cases unless it is required. So you write the test cases, but you elaborate only when it is required. So it's absolutely like hand in hand, and a lot of collaboration effort that goes in. Absolutely, fantastic answer there. So the next thing that you have mentioned in your resume is around functional testing. So what is functional testing?
Functional testing is a type of testing. We will test the functionality of the application by providing the input and checking the output. For example, if there is a login page, I'm going to enter the valid username and the valid password. And once I click the login button, I will ensure is the login button working or not. That's the thing. Functional testing is basically checking is the application working fine or not.
Right. So basically, like, say, for example, you opened any example, like, okay, any example I'll ask, like you use every day some of the applications. So can you give some example of any app?
For example, like a Gmail. For example, in Gmail, if I'm entering my valid username and the valid password, and once I click the login button, is my application working fine or not? That is what the functional testing.
Right. So after clicking login button,
after clicking the login button,
whether you are
able to go to the next page.
Absolutely. Okay, great. Yes. So yeah, always back up your answers with these type of examples, right? So when you click on compose mail, right? So whether the compose page opens, or is there any, crash that happens, or you have to click twice on a compose button then it appears. So if you have to click twice, then that's potential defect, right? So absolutely correct. But always include the examples that you have just mentioned around Gmail. Okay, great. What happens in test planning? Can you elaborate a little bit detail in the test planning?
Like test planning is a kind of planning. We will plan for the entire testing activities, like what to test and who will do each task. And then they will also mention about the entry and the exit criteria, and what are the testing approaches to be followed. Right.
Yeah. So this is more of, like traditional way, how the overall, still it is followed, like entry criteria, exit criteria. Still, even in agile development, there will be some projects where you will have to prepare the plan, especially in banking. So we still do it. So absolutely. So and apart from entry criteria, exit criteria, what to test, what not to test, any other important thing that goes in there?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, so like who will do what, resourcing, right? The timeline things. Yeah. Okay, great. So absolutely fine. In terms of the next thing that you have mentioned, the experience that you have experience in defect tracking, reporting as well. So can you elaborate a little bit around defect reporting and tracking?
It's like you're asking about the defect reporting, the case
reporting,
of the defect.
Yes.
The parameters.
Yeah. So like what exactly you do when you say I'm reporting a defect, and then what you do when you say I'm tracking a defect. So
fine.
Yeah. So start with reporting. Yeah.
Fine. So like a defect reporting, if there is any discrepancy between the actual result and the expected result, as a tester, I will write the defect report. So I will be including these parameters in my defect report, like the title, and then what are the steps to reproduce, the expected result and the actual result, and then the priority as well as the screenshot.
Yes.
This is what we basically include in the defect report.
Right. Yeah. And is there any very important thing that you missed in the defect report?
Test environment and the date and the name and the date, test environment.
Yes, test environment and the build. Date and build. Yeah. So test environment, yes, very important. And the build, basically which version you are testing against, right? So say, for example,
Okay.
in version ABC, the code was pushed into the test environment, right? So that is very essential part that developers need to know against which version you tested. But other things, absolutely, you covered almost everything. Steps to reproduce, expected, actual logs, screenshots. So these are some of the very, very important thing. And once because you know all of these key things, if you have to go ahead and write, because you know the concepts, you'll be able to write, good report. So great on that. Now, defect tracking. What exactly what do you understand by defect tracking?
I've never heard about defect tracking. It's like
Yeah.
how to track the defect.
Yes. So it's I mean,
It is
see,
tracking.
you can use like tracking because it's a keyword that is mentioned there. But usually for a tester, tracking the defect is monitoring the defect, you can say, right? Whether just keeping an eye on the defect.
Okay.
But in terms of the test lead role, it's more of tracking the overall defects that occur in a project, and then having the defect triage meetings to see which defects are valid, which aren't valid, and then keeping a track of all the valid defects and seeing when those defects are getting fixed and reassigning them for retesting, right? So that's the actual sort of tracking, but different contexts, different meaning. All right.
Okay.
So no problem with that, because defect tracking is mostly, test lead and above. And I understand that you are, at initial level of your career. So absolutely fine. Okay. So let's move on to some of the other tools that you have mentioned. You have mentioned that you know a little bit of JIRA. So what exactly is JIRA all about?
JIRA is basically a tool which is used to track the issues, and mainly it is used in agile projects. Like people who were working in the agile team, they use this JIRA tool to manage their requirements and to track the issues, whatever they do.
Yeah. It could be anything, like it could be defect, it could be stories, right? So JIRA is agile project management tool, and a lot more than that. So it has built-in defect management within it, so you can track that. You can also enable test management within JIRA with using some of the plugins. Okay, so it's so yeah, good. Then there is another thing about regression testing. So what do you understand by regression testing?
Regression testing is testing the unchanged areas to ensure that when we make any changes, for example, when I'm adding a new feature or modifying the feature or deleting, the changes is impacting the existing application. We are checking whether the change is affecting the impacted application. In that purpose, we do the regression testing.
Right.
And we also use the impact analysis meeting to ensure like how much regression is required.
Great. Yeah. That word impact analysis is absolutely fantastic to add there. So to see what impact is there, right? That determines how much regression is required, right? So when you say impact analysis, so usually any examples that you can give, like what usually you do in impact analysis, or just briefly, very basic?
Impact analysis is like there will be a meeting for impact. They will have a meeting like to ensure like how much the impact this application is going to affect on that particular scenarios. So during the meeting, they will be deciding what are the steps need to be taken, something like that.
Right. Yes. Great. So like how big the change has been, or even if the change is not big, but if the change is into the core module, say for example, there is a class file, I'll take a Java class, right? And that is a base class on which everything else has been built up, right? So the base class has all the methods that are being used by so many other modules. So if the change is in the base class and the base class change is massive, then because it impacts so many other areas, right? So that's analysis is when it's not tester's job. Basically, it's basically tester and it's the team's job to do that analysis testers are involved in there as well, to see how it is, how the big impact is. And based on that, they'll come, we need full regression testing, like
Okay.
massive, right? If the change is just in one simple module, this is the change, it's not going to, impact the base class and things like that. So that's what happens. So you can include something, some example like this as well. Okay, but absolutely fantastic. Like, you have included this impact analysis, which is the core of deciding what regression is going to happen, right? Great. Okay, let's move on. What do you understand by test execution, and what do what you usually do in test execution phase?
Basically, in test execution phase, we will execute the test cases. We will execute the test case, and then we will compare after executing the test case, we will check the status of the test case, whether my test case has passed or failed. Suppose the test case is failed, in that case, we write the defect report. We will include all the parameters in the defect report. And after writing the defect report, we will ensure whether we will do again the regression testing. Sorry, it's a retesting to ensure whether whatever the defect I raised is been fixed by the developer or not.
Right. Yes.
Like those steps we will be doing in the test execution.
In the test execution, yes. And actually, you will be, launching. So basically, whatever application, say for example, you are testing mobile app, you will be launching that application, going to that particular functionality, basically navigating to that functionality, and then using the test data for testing that, right? So any sort of, say, I give you an example. Okay, I'll give you an application and a feature, and I'll ask you to execute a test case, just frame a test case. So let's take Facebook. Okay, in Facebook, there is a functionality to post the video, or say for example, hypothetically, post a video or post the image. This is one of the functionality that you need to test. So quickly, how will you proceed? Just step by step. If you have to test these two things, how will you test it?
Like you're asking, like I should write the test case. I'm just going to do some exploratory testing and
just exploratory sort of. Just give me steps how you are going to navigate to that particular place and what you are going to do to test it.
It's basically about in the post, right?
Can you explain the question one more? So posting. So you log into your account. So as a user, I log into my Facebook account, and I want to post the image or the videos to my feed. Like just upload the video. Click on whatever, tap on the icon to upload a video or image and post it.
For that, how will I test? Like, basically I will check whether the valid username and password I entered before doing the login. In that case, if it is a valid user ID and the valid password, my login button will work. And I will enter into the Facebook account. And inside the Facebook account, there are some functionalities like attach photos or attach videos, upload. So once I click that, I will be uploading this video from my system or whatever it is. And then ensure whether my post has been posted to the Facebook page or not. Whether all the key functionalities are working fine there.
Right. Yeah, great. So this is, like a positive scenario, right? That's how you will do it. So like you will follow all the steps. You will launch the application. You will use the valid username and password, login. Then you will go to that particular profile, page on the feed. You will tap on that button or icon, whatever it is, to upload the image. First, you will try to upload the image and post it. Then you will try to upload the video, post it. This is simple positive scenario, right? That's the first thing that you will do.
And when it comes to the negative scenario, we will test the application with the invalid input by entering some alphanumeric character, which is not going to accept in the field. So we will test like.
So this is in the login. You are trying. Okay, so that
to do with the login, and even the GIF image. Like after logging inside. When I'm going to attach the video, if it is not going, there is some format for the videos, like it's a GIF image or something. So if we are selecting something invalid, it will not allow us to load that particular, and it will also check for the size or amount of what is the duration of the video to upload in the Facebook.
Absolutely. That's what I wanted to listen. duration, size, invalid image name. Login is something, like login is not key functionality as part of this feature. This feature is to test that, right? So yes, like you log in and then you actually focus on this, right? So you have covered good scenarios, right? So good thought process. You have given a thought on the spot, which is really good. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next one. So I'll give another example. Okay, let's keep it example based because I'm truly enjoying the examples that you're giving. So there is a Instagram. So let's hypothetically the Instagram app. Okay, a new release happened. Okay, and the logo, Instagram logo, doesn't have G in it. So Insta and then G has been removed somehow by mistake, whatever, and it became Instagram. And this is in production. Okay. So first thing, is it a defect? And if it is a defect, what severity and priority ideally this should have?
Like in this scenario, the priority is going to be high because it is the name of the particular company Instagram logo, where the G is very important because the reputation of the company's name will be spoiled by, because a lot of users are seeing the Instagram. If they see the name, there is a spelling mistake in that particular logo, it will definitely affect the reputation of the company. Right. So the severity, in case it is not going to have any impact on the application is going to perfectly work fine. But we need to prioritize and we need to fix this first. Like we need to, priority is important for this case.
Absolutely. Yes. So it's like all the social media will be just trolling around with that Instagram, right? So that's why it is very high priority, even if it's not breaking any of the functionality, right? So another question on severity and priority. Recently, I think there was an incident with Facebook, right? Facebook went down for, I think, 5-6 hours. Facebook, Instagram, all of these went down. I'm not sure. I think Facebook, I'm sure that Facebook went down. What was the severity and priority of that defect?
They've done some hot fix something. I'm not about the priority or severity. When the application is having some impact, when people are not able to use that for the particular amount of time, what they will do, they will quickly do the hot fix, which is like they fix it in an immediate basis within a few hours.
Yeah.
Because like many people are using this application, they try to fix it within few hours.
Right.
So the priority, and I think the priority and severity was high.
Both. Yes, great. Yes, both are high or critical, because
critical. It is impacting the business.
Yeah, I think the loss was like $6 billion.
Yeah,
and the person Zuckerberg himself lost $2 billion in that amount of time, right? In the shareholding, basically. So you can see the impact of those sort of incidents, the defects, right? Like severity, critical, and priority critical as well, right? So if you'll just think about the impact, first thing is impact, whether it's financial or it's actually in terms of usage, or it could be both, right? In terms of Facebook, it was financial, reputation damage, shareholding, right? So financial, all of that. And then reputational damage, like in today's world, like when they talk about so much about high availability and all the backups and AWS servers and backup plans that are there, still the applications went down and just black out. I don't know what happened. Maybe there is some other, theory behind it, but it's to keep it to the context of our interview. Yes, it's very high severity, high priority. Okay. All right. Great examples. Lokeshwari there. Very, very well. Now you have mentioned about, let's go to some of the behavioral things or some of the, team management things that you have mentioned. You mentioned that you liaise with the development teams and others, support teams, to clarify a few things. So what exactly you used to do when you talk to the development team and support team? Can you give me some example? So how did you clarify any of the doubts, if you have?
Like basically, if it is a doubt regarding the whatever the work I'm doing, or
anything
within the team.
Anything, like any doubt with the work, with the user stories, or with the defects, anything.
First of all, we'll try to communicate with the test manager or with the test lead to clarify what is my doubts.
Yeah.
I don't have, yeah, I think
Yeah.
I'll try to clarify with them. Like whatever work I'm doing is what is, first of all, in the requirement analysis itself, like if I'm not clear about anything, first I will ensure that I'm clear about what is the concept I'm going to do.
Right. Yes. Yes. So like in the requirement phase, you in the meeting itself, you will ask the questions to get the clarity, like you are understanding the way the requirement should be. Yes. And over the period of time, say for example, it's more of like you are sitting with the team. Whenever you have a doubt, you actually go and ask and communicate so that everyone is on the same page, right? And especially like you mentioned, like clarifying the defects with your peers first, or the test manager or the test lead first, before going to developer. So initial analysis is very important in this role. So that's good. All right, let's move to the next one. So let's talk about a little bit about the three roles in Scrum. Do you remember, like in Scrum, do you remember the roles?
Like the Scrum roles in case like the dashboard, the task board, the to do, that ones, or
no, that's a board. The roles, like the
Scrum
team.
Master.
Yes, the team, the roles, like Scrum Master and
yeah. So I remember about the product owner, and the Scrum Masters.
Yeah.
So like product owner is the person who is responsible to maintain the product backlog items, where he will store all the requirements.
Yeah.
And then it comes to the Scrum Master. Scrum Master is responsible for the sprint planning meetings and to deliver the software within the particular sprint. And Scrum Master will coordinate with the team to ensure the work is done.
Okay. So like three key roles usually in Scrum: Scrum Master, product owner, and the team, like development team, who will be working, right? So Scrum Master and product owner are not responsible for the deliverable. Development team could consist of, it's not seen as a separate, it's seen as a combination of the people who will actually deliver. So it could be testers, BAs, and yes, like Scrum Master will be sort of so ideally, if you talk about Agile, it's more of servant leader. So they won't be tracking the day-to-day activity. It's the team that actually self-motivated and plans and delivers. And yes, all of these roles are involved in the sprint planning. So like you mentioned correctly, that there is a product backlog, which is what product manager, product owner does. So they articulate all those requirements. Then there is a sprint backlog, and then that's how, sprint could be 2 to 4 week cycle, wherein the development happens and the delivery happens. So yeah, okay. All right, that's good. I think that's pretty much it for today, Lokeshwari. Any questions you have before I get into the feedback?
And no questions, like I'm fine, and thanks a lot for giving me this wonderful opportunity in this platform, because I was watching your videos and all your videos motivated me a lot, and to give like these kind of real-time examples and everything.
Yeah, thank you, Lokeshwari. I think that's the whole purpose of me doing it. And if even a single person gets job after watching and a little bit of my help, that's amazing thing. So yeah, great. Let's jump into the feedback. So your resume, I think depending on the details that you have provided in the interview and the knowledge, you need to elaborate it a little bit. Okay. So you need to put more details there in terms of your project roles and responsibilities and the skill set. So you have completed your certifications, whatever trainings you have completed and certifications, put those. So elaborate it a little bit. In terms of format, it's very good. No issues with that. Okay. So just you need to add few pointers, extra points there. Now coming back to the overall interview, how the overall interview went. Absolutely good. I won't say, like fantastic, but it is very good, right? So if I would have to hire you as a 1 to 2 year experienced person, I would have definitely moved you to the next round. Okay. So that's the feedback with the overall conversation. Now, what you need to do next to make your interviews more impactful. So basically, try to come up with, maybe more examples. You have given very good examples, which is very good point. And that's the strong point. So think a lot more around that, and read more about the agile space. Read more. Okay. Testing concepts, you have good testing concepts. In terms of agile space, I would say watch some of the videos. Okay. So because videos, people share their real experience, how they are working in the projects. And so you will get a good grasp of how actually the work is done into the Scrum. What is Scrum, difference between Scrum, Agile, and it's very, very simple stuff. Okay. So if you'll put a little bit effort there, that's the only feedback I have. And rest is all keep applying. Like you are already applying at the moment, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll just keep applying because you are well prepared. You should be getting something very soon. Okay. So it's just very minimal things that you need to see where you are lacking, and then go ahead and fix those. Okay. And interviews, usually every interview doesn't get cleared. Okay. So it's absolutely fine if you are not going through or you are getting rejected. Everyone gets rejected. Okay. So it doesn't matter which stage you are. So that's absolutely fine. You just have to be motivated and keep doing it. Okay. All right. So I think that's pretty much all about today, Lokeshwari. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.